Hi everyone, this is Kevin from Smart Choice Homes here. Today, I'm very excited to share with you guys my Zyon Grand Purchase Journey. So in my previous video, I did say that a high chance that I'm buying Zyon Grand, right? So yes, I eventually beat the bullet and made the purchase. So it was a bit of a roller coaster situation because, at least in terms of emotions, because I actually encountered a FOMO situation, even with all the preparation that I've done. So yes, let me share that with you guys. And also another main thing of this video would be to do a comparison between the actual prices versus my estimates. So you can see how big the variance is, or rather how small the variance is. All right, without further ado, let's start. So this is my shortlisted units view. To be fair, these are all my estimated prices, so you know the figures for now. The main thing I want to call out is really the green cells that I've highlighted here, the level 7 to 12 and level 15 to 17 of stack 2, because stack 2 is my preferred unit, or rather my preferred stack. So I actually shortlisted up to 9 units here, depending on how my ballot number will be. Then I also have a backup option here, which is the stack 9. So much smaller size, also smaller quantum. So, you know, there's a plus side to that, which is like a better buffer for your funds. But at the same time, it's high floor because you actually get MBS view. You actually get MBS view for this. Like, if you align your bed properly, right, you can actually see MBS from your bed. So it's like you look to the left of your window, it's MBS. You turn back to the center of your room, it's maybe your TV or whatever. Yeah. So I think there's value in that. That will be able to retain the value in terms of free floor loading. And the reason why my backup is here is because I don't have the budget for this. Very simple, right? I don't have the budget for step 2 high floor. Yeah. So yes, I do not want to buy step 2 high floor because that's stretching too much of my budget. Yeah. And not to mention, it will affect your next purchase, right? Your other NIM. You won't be able to buy as big of a size for your investment for the flipping NIM. Yeah, so that's one thing to consider. And for my ballot number, right, it was horrible. So I actually had to go get my backup unit over here, this area. So yes, you should always plan up to 10 plus shortlisted units so that you are able to have yourself be able to make that decision fast at the point of when it's your turn to purchase, because they actually give you very little time to decide. Yeah. So preferably have it spread across different stacks for your backup options. And like me, if you can try to find a high floor that can retain value, then even better. Because high floor is the one where when your ballot number is bad, you're most likely left with the high floors. So it's a good idea to look for a high floor stack that can actually still give you value. All right, let's move on to talk about my estimated prices versus the actual prices, so that we can see the variance, right? To see whether or not the way I've been doing my estimates, does it help with regards to the purchase? In fact, I use it for my own purchase. So, all right, let's move on. Okay, so before I start comparing the actual versus my estimated prices, I got to share that I actually changed a little bit of my estimates the night before booking day. Because I was looking at it and I realized, stat 9 and stat 10 lower floor is actually worse than stat, say, 3 and 4. Because they are the corresponding ones, right? Stat 3 and stat 9 is your 861 square feet, stat 4 and stat 10 is your 721 square feet. I realized that the lower floor for stat 9 and 10 is actually worse. Why? Because it's right above your entry point from Kensing Road, and it's also very near to the tennis ball court and the pickleball court. So yeah, I actually was looking at it, right, as my last minute preparation, last minute review before the actual booking day. I'll look at it and realize, I think I need to swap the figures around, which is why I actually made the stat 3 higher for the starting PSF versus stat 9, and likewise for stat 4 versus stat 10. Basically, I swapped the figures around and then I adjusted them accordingly. Yeah, if you remember the figures from my previous video. Okay. So yes, that's how it works here. Now, with that being said, right, let's look at the actual comparison. So first off, green highlight means that the actual prices were lower than my estimates. This percentage here just tells you the variance, like how far it is. So the smaller the number, the better. And red obviously is more expensive than my estimates, the actual price. But you'll notice that for the most part, it is cheaper, especially for the higher step. Because for the higher step, developer give chance. They actually lower the per floor premium loading. Yeah, it's actually quite reasonable. Like even for the 1076, right? They are actually going like 7K each time. Yeah. And for the smaller sizes, even smaller. You have 3K. See here? 2 goes to 5, goes to 8, goes to 11. So, wow, it's been forever since I saw loading with like 3K, only 3K increase per floor. So I guess developer giving chance for the higher stats lah. Because I also understand why they do so. Because your view from level 44 to 62, it's not much of a diff already. Because it's already all unblocked views. You're just going slightly higher and you can see like maybe... So best example I can give is that, for example, let's say you can see MBS from 44. 62, the difference will be maybe you can see the Art Science Museum, the level 1, right? Because you have the whole MBS and then Art Science Museum is the level 1, right? So if you go higher, then you can see the level 1 more clearly, which I guess it helps during like the night light festival thingy, right? Because they usually have all the different light display at level 1 outside MBS. Yeah, so minor plus point lah. But yeah, which is why the floor loading, they give you very little. Yeah, the smaller the size, the smaller the loading. And what do I want to talk about? Yes, and also the smaller the size, because of the small size having a smaller loading, it resulted in my estimates having actually a bigger variance because developer give chance. But this one is okay. I'm happy to see a bigger variance where it's green. The most scary part is the red figures, right? Yeah, you have your stat 6 here, and I think stat 9. Yes, stat 9 is the one with a lot of red figures, but you notice that the variance is very, very small. Like the highest you see here probably is this one, 1%. Yeah. And also a bit special because they actually increase the loading a lot at the bottom. If you see here, the initial starting price for level is even lower than my estimate, even though I adjusted it already. Yeah, I adjusted it to be lower already, but it's still, the actual price was still even lower. But the per floor jump at the lower floors is pretty high. You go from this to this, level 2 to level 3, it's the 24K jump. And then here you have another 23K jump. And here you back to normal, you have your 11K. Then slowly it goes up. And oh, by the way, all the NT units here represent units that were already sold prior to the booking day on Saturday, which means like the priority booking day, people already bought all these units. Oh, and because I'm an agent, right, I can tell you guys, right, agent for this particular project, right, it's not agents buying most of it. It's actually VIP. Yeah, I was very surprised with in terms of like the number of VIPs purchases. But I suppose maybe because it's a luxury project, right? So that's why there were so many purchases. Like if you look at the stat 2 that I wanted, right? On booking day, these are all gone. The developer purposely, if you can tell, right, developer basically gave chance. They actually reserve all these units here for public purchase, right? Because these are the units available on the start of the public booking day, the actual booking day. So everything else in between also, yeah, even 35, 36 level also sold for stack 2. Okay, quite interesting, Yeah, developer really did a good job if you ask me, because they reserve units for your purchase, and then your VIP, there's a lot of VIP, so a lot of the units were gone. But the units that weren't as popular, you'll see that yeah, they are still there. So it's really all the VIP purchase. Okay. What else I want to say? Yes. Okay, so for stat 9, right, you'll see that the variance is there. It's a little more expensive because stat 9, like I said, right, once you reach here, there's a bit of a loading increase for the clearance of the MBS view. Yeah, you can tell, right, from here, it suddenly jumped all the way to 35K, even though there's like one floor here that's sold. Likewise for this, you got another 20 plus K jump here, 24K jump here. So you know this is where they start to clear the view. Okay, so just to share a little, I ended up buying somewhere here. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit more expensive than my estimates, but it's okay. Like I said, mine is just an estimate. For the most part, they are cheaper. Now, then, what's a better view I can give you guys, which is a summary, right? The summary of the differences, the variance. Like I said, you're happy to see green, means that it's cheaper. If red, then yeah, you have to see how big is the variance. But for the most part, I think the variances are okay. Mostly small variances for those that are more expensive than my estimates. All right, let's look at the summary. So summary here, if you see here, this is like the average quantum in terms of actual money price difference. So like step 2, I do have a slightly bigger variance. You have your 2.39% cheaper. Okay, 2.39% cheaper. So that's good. And on the whole, you'll notice that all of the actual prices on average across all the floors, we ended up having the estimates being slightly the actual being slightly cheaper than my estimates. Yep. And again, like I said earlier, right? Well, for the smaller stats, you'll see a bigger percentage difference. Like, step 5 is your 2-bed 1-bath, if you're not wrong. Step 11 is your 1-bedroom. So the percentage is bigger. So that's fine. Developer decide to give chance, right? Sometimes some developers may charge higher per floor loading for smaller units. It really depends. But this one is not a big issue because it's cheaper. Okay, the variance is bigger, but it's cheaper, so it's okay. Yeah, and for the most part, you'll see that it mostly sticks to like 2%. So I think my estimates are pretty good for use in terms of like deciding whether the price is good for your actual purchase. Now, if you want, I can give you another view, which is your floors 2 to 21 versus your floors 23 to 42, and then your 44 to 62. So basically, each of the block that is separated by the sky terraces. Yeah. So you notice that for the lower floors, yeah, there are some cases where it's slightly more expensive than my estimates. But again, the variance percentage is very small, right? 0.42%. It's definitely acceptable. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and step 8, you see nothing here, and step 1, nothing here is because all gone already. By the time booking day, after the priority booking day, the step 1 and step 8 will also up. Yeah. Because that's the 4 and 5 bedroom. They always give priority to 4 and 5 bedroom. So if you have the quantum for it, right, go for that, then you can book earlier. But you are still fighting against everyone who's interested in getting 4 and 5 bedroom. The only difference is that you don't need to squeeze on the public launch day. Yeah, it's also faster your purchase. You don't need to wait as long. Yep, that's it. So yes, lower floor, there are some cases where it's more expensive than my estimates, but it's all very small variance, all acceptable. And as you go up further, it starts to average out. You know why? Because developers have the view, they know like which floor starts to clear a certain view, and then they will charge you higher for that. But for me, as I'm doing the estimates, right, I can't go to that extent of detail because they have their drone, their specifications, everything for them to be able to make that decision. But I don't, or rather, it's way too much effort for me to go and do that. So the best case scenario I have is to do a price estimate where it will eventually average out. It will eventually average out. So you will see the expensive figures being lesser and lesser. Variance percentage also, it can start to get bigger because of the different floor loading, but it will never be too big, right? Other than the smaller sizes, which is like 3.3, 3.66 and 3.38 here, they are all very small in terms of variance. Yeah. Then as for the 44 to 62, like I said, right, for this case, developer gave a lot of chance, okay? They actually lowered their per floor loading by a significant amount for each of the different stats. So you see a bigger variance here. But like I said, it's all green. It means that it's even cheaper. The degree of it being cheaper is even greater. So that's good. Yeah. So I hope this instills confidence in you to come and approach me for your next property purchase, because you see the estimate that I'm doing is actually very close to the developers. And even if it's not close, it's the cheaper ones. It's cheaper than my estimate. So that's a happy thing, right? When you see that, it's like, oh my god, go for it, just purchase. Yeah. Okay, so remember to contact me at this number for your next property purchase. Let me help you guys plan properly in terms of like your shortlisting, your 10 plus units, having this price estimate chart ready for you to make sure that the variance is very, very small, and even if it's big, it should be cheaper, not more expensive than the estimates. And if it's more expensive than the estimate, right, then we have to see the reason why. Yeah, have to really look into it. Like I said, maybe maybe that specific floor they start to clear MBS view, then you jump more. This one I showed you, right? When you clear MBS view, it jumps another like 20k in the Okay, like it's not 20K, like it's 2 floors, so about 10 plus K per floor. Instead of like the usual kind of floor loading. Slightly more. If I'm not wrong, it was like 8K, 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 and then 13K, 11K, 8K, 8K. Okay, so this is the part about my actual versus, the actual prices versus my estimates. So yes, again, like I say, I hope it instills the confidence in you. Oh, and by the way, right, I am using my higher bound estimates. Yeah, I'm using my higher bound estimates, right? So because for the Zyon Grand, especially my own purchase, I created two different spreadsheets. One is like lower, more conservative. The other one is more optimistic. Yeah. So this is the one where my estimates were actually higher. So that's why maybe you see more red figures here. But subsequently, in the high floors, like I said, developer gave chance, so the variance is bigger but cheaper. More totally, it's like cheaper. Okay. Anyway, that concludes this section. Let's move on to the next. So the FOMO situation that I encountered, right, was that because my ballot number wasn't good, I was not able to get my first choice. So disappointment of not getting your first few choices, right, is actually quite, the effect of it can be quite devastating. The disappointment can be so overwhelming that you start to have a FOMO where you start to look at options that you did not initially plan for. So for my case, right, I wanted lower floor step 2, but I couldn't get it. At the point of my turn, when it was close my turn, I could either buy high floor step 2, which was out of my budget, way too much of a stretch, or high floor step 9, which is within my plans, consider my backup plan, or a new third option started to pop up because of that disappointment, which is mid-floor step 7, which is like level 19. Yeah, level 19, 1907, I remember that was the option. And because I wanted that 3 bedroom premium so much, right? I started really started to consider step 7 because step 7 has pretty much the same layout, just 2 square meters smaller in the living room. You still have your landscape view, bedroom, living room. You still have your dumbbell bedroom layout. The third bedroom being like a dumbbell layout. Your home shelter, etc. Everything is still there. So, but okay, at least for me, right, I do know what I like about step 7. So it became a real struggle. Like, do I really want to accept what I do not like about step 7 to get that bigger layout, that landscape view, etc.? So yes, even with all the preparation that I've done, I really encountered a FOMO situation because of that disappointment from not getting your first few choice units, right? And this mainly stems from the fact that ballot number wasn't good. And realistically speaking, for most folks, the ballot number wouldn't be as ideal because I think like only the top 30% of the entire unit's ballot, right, will be able to get what you really want. The rest will have to be a compromise, right? So yes, let me share in the rest of this video why I eventually decided not to get step 7. Yeah, why not step 7? Yeah, I eventually went for my high floor step 9, my backup plan. I managed to stick with my plan rather than due to the FOMO choosing a unit that wasn't in my plan to begin with. So let's check that. I'll talk about why not step 7 for the service apartment reason. So if you look from far, this is like the small model that was actually provided in the showroom, but it's hidden in one corner. So usually people just look at the main model and then they go on to look at the show flat. But if you notice, right, this is actually in one corner where the main model was. You look at how close the service apartment is. It's actually really, really close to the step 7. Yeah. So this is just from far, right? Let's look at the a more close-up view. You can see it's very near because if you look at this bottom portion here, that's where the gym is, right? So using that gym as a reference, you should be able to tell how near it is all the way up to level 36 of the SA, the service apartment. Now, if I zoom in even further, so I don't know whether you remember in the previous chapter, previous section, I was talking about like FOMO situation that I had, right? So I was given the option to choose between a high floor step 9 and a level 1907 step 7, which is actually this unit here, right below the one with the label 2007, 1907. You look at how close this is. Like seriously, I think you can throw something over and you will reach their ledge. Likewise, they can throw something over to your ledge as well. Oh, cannot eh. I personally can't get through this. 过不了这关. Okay, I can't get past this. For me, when I was making the decision, like I was so tempted to get a three-bedroom premium because of the landscape view. And then on top of that, you have your home shelter. The third bedroom was also like a dumbbell layout, right? Was on the other side. So there's a lot of ideal things about the layout that I really like. But when given the option of choosing level 1907 versus a high floor stat 9, I eventually went for high floor stat 9 because of this service apartment thingy. And also the other thing is the budget. I actually did a very quick math in my mind at the point of choosing, because I was like, okay, the difference between the 1907 and the high floor stat 9 back then was the difference was 420k, thereabout. So 420k, if I take 25% outright, it's about 100k, right? 105k. So 105k is the additional down payment I have to pay, the cash that CPF down payment I have to pay. So pay. So that's like your ROI, right? That's how you calculate your additional ROI. But if you think about it, the difference between the 1055 and the 861, the number of square feet, right? I have, let's say if I have a 500 PSF profit, which is like kind of the norm for a decent performing project, right? 500 PSF profit, multiply that by the 180 plus square feet, end up, it's like I'm just getting back whatever I pay in terms of the cash payment. There's no additional benefit out of it. Oh, I think I really, on when standing there trying to decide, I was like doing this very quick math in my mind. Then I was like, oh, okay, not very worth it. Yeah. But obviously, I'm very attracted by the homestay part of it. That's why even though I didn't shortlist the unit, right, when the options came, right, I was really in a FOMO situation where I was like, okay, I can't get step two. Maybe I settle for step seven. But thankfully, I had all these things in mind in terms of like the price difference, the quantum difference, and then more importantly, this service apartment thing that you see here. Yeah. So, and there's one more thing, one more reason why I do not want step seven, and I'll talk about that in the next section. It's something actually I didn't cover in the previous video, the review. Yeah, I missed covering this part actually. Right, let's talk about that. Okay, here's the other reason why not step seven for me at the point of like choosing between the units. The refuse chute is actually over here. The common refuse chute that all six units are using on this level. Do you see the issue here? It's so close to your entrance for your step seven. Your step seven entrance is over here. Right? This is your home shelter, this is your third bedroom that's on the other side of the dumbbell one. You have your landscape, living room here. This is your door. It's right beside the refuse chute. So okay, so I have heard horror stories from a friend who was staying right beside the refuse chute. His unit was right beside the refuse chute. Or I think right in front, either one. The problem is that when you have inconsiderate users, right, who dump their rubbish there without dumping it properly, they don't dispose of their rubbish properly, which result in like the food waste getting outside of the refuse chute, staying there. Those people throwing pizza boxes who don't bother to go downstairs and they realize that it can't fit the refuse chute and they just put it at the bottom. They just leave it at the bottom of the refuse chute. And not to mention any other things that people will sometimes leave at the bottom of the refuse chute. So if you encounter that issue, imagine you're staying right beside the refuse chute. It's going to attract all the different pests, etc., which is a problem that my friend actually encountered. So obviously, I mean, this is a horror story, right? Not every floor will be like this. Maybe you have very nice neighbors who don't cause this issue for you, right? But it's also like I would say that the percentage of having neighbors who cause this issue is also the same. 50-50. To me, I think it's a 50-50 thing. It's very down to your luck, I guess. And sometimes it's not even like, how should I put it? Maybe it's just like a young child or a young adult who doesn't know better. They didn't handle it properly and it caused all the food waste to be on the outside of the refuse chute. Sometimes also maybe your domestic helper or some people who just simply don't care. Yeah, if you get neighbors like that, you're gonna have pest issues for your step seven because it's just way too near. Although I guess one other option would be like to seal the very bottom of your door, your main door. make it fully sealed so that the pests don't get in, the smell don't get in. But it's still not pleasant, right? I mean, you imagine you get out of the lift, you go past your house, you get out from these 4 lifts here, you go back to your place, and then you walk past the refuse chute that's like stinking because of inconsiderate neighbors. Wow, no ideal leh. So like you realize I shortlist step 9 over here because it's also very far from the refuse chute. I don't have the issue. I don't need to walk past the refuse chute. Likewise for step 1. Sorry, step 2. Step 2 over on the other block is the same thing. The refuse chute is over on step 1. Yeah. Like for block 3, step 1 is over here, step 2 is over here. And step 1 is not an issue because step 1 have private lift. So you won't be encountering this thing. You won't need to walk past. But step 7 does not have a private lift. Okay, step 7 is a 3-bedroom premium layout without a private lift. Private lift is over here, step 8. So yeah, with this in consideration, there was also another reason why I did not go for 1907. At the point of me choosing 1907 was available versus high step, high floor step 9, and also high floor step 2. So high floor step 2, like I said, out budget. I don't want to commit to that level of budget. It's way too much of a stretch. Then you have 1907 versus 30 plus 4, very high 30s, high floor step 9 for me. And another thing is level 19 step 7 is a bit in the middle of nowhere. You pay a bit too much for 4 premiums without getting like the value unlock of it. Because you have to understand for step 7, you're facing the Holiday Inn hotel directly, and you need about level 20. The Holiday Inn is about level 21, so you probably need about level 23 to clear the view. So 19 is like, I can't clear the view yet, but I'm paying extra floor premiums. Not worth it. So that's for me personally why I managed to avoid this FOMO situation, where suddenly, oh my god, maybe I should consider this unit that I did not even include in my plan at all. So thankfully, all these reasons managed to make me pull back, and I went for the step 9 instead. Although you still get this nagging feeling like, oh yeah, maybe I should have gotten the bigger unit, right? But it's okay lah. I mean, or rather, it's more like, if only my ballot number was better, then I could have gotten the bigger unit. But anyway, no point crying over spilled milk. Sorry. So yes, this is how I see it for step 7. But I'll say this if you actually end up buying step 7, then you should be happy about your purchase. Okay. If you already bought step 7, if you're happy with your purchase, don't go and give it up because it's not worth it to pay that 1.25%. Yeah, when after you exercise your OTP, if you choose to forfeit, right, you actually have to pay 1.25% of the entire project purchase price, the entire unit purchase price. So it's not worth it. Okay, if you already made the decision, stick with it, because although I give all these like cons about step 7, at the end of the day, you are still living in a 3-bedder with a landscape view. You have a dumbbell layout for your 3rd bedroom. You have your home shelter, your WC, etc. So it's still extremely livable. It's still very enjoyable. It's just that maybe within the same project, when you do resale, right, if there happens to be more step 2 available, people may gravitate towards that because step 2 is better. Yeah, so you may have to sacrifice a bit in your purchase, your resale price. But in the first place, your step 7, at least for the floors that are close to the service apartment, right, it is already cheaper than the step 2 when you purchase. So at the end of the day, maybe your profits end up being the same. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Step 7, if you already bought it, be happy about your purchase. Like for me, I am glad that I did not went out of my plan and chose a unit that I may regret in future. Yeah, especially that service apartment part for me. I cannot get past that station. It's way too near. Like, they can see what you're watching on your TV. That's how near it is. I'm very sure they can see what you're watching on TV, especially from their master bathroom. I think the layout, in terms of the layout, the orientation. From their master bathroom, for sure can see what you're looking at on your TV. So yeah, you can get curtains if you are staying step 7. Make sure it's fully covered. Okay, so anyway, let's move on to the outro, yeah? So outro for this video is very simple. Regardless of whatever preparation you have done, the chance of encountering a FOMO situation is still there when your ballot number is not good. If your ballot number is good, everything is smooth, there's no FOMO per se, right? But if your ballot number is not good, you may encounter a FOMO situation. So that's where I can come in and help you guys. Because even myself, I almost encountered it, but thankfully I know what I don't like about Stat 7. I was able to make like a split decision, quick math in my mind, etc. to decide that, okay, let's stick to my plan. Yeah, so that's an important thing to take note of. And that's what I can do to help prepare you for your next purchase. Yeah, when I'm with you there on the booking day. Because I'll definitely be with you on the booking day itself. In the queue together to do the booking, the actual purchase. And the other thing is also to consider the fact that one thing I want to point out is that I am okay with living a smaller space. If you are someone who no choice, you have to live in a 3-bedroom period, right? Because of whatever reason, right? Then in the first place, your backup plan would have included Stat 7, right? Then you don't have a FOMO per se, or maybe your FOMO may end up, your FOMO situation may be, do I accept a smaller space if I can't get my Stat 2 and Stat 7, for example? So a lot of permutations possible. It's basically tailor-made to your needs and wants. So I'll definitely go do that for you if you do approach me for your next property purchase. Yeah? Okay. So yes, contact me at this number. Don't forget if you want to approach me for this. And I hope to see you guys soon. Okay? For your next property purchase. Your smart choice home purchase. All right. Thanks and bye. Oh, right. I hope the estimate versus actual is also entertaining to you. At least you see that the variance is definitely a very, very acceptable variance. All right. Bye. Next video, I will do new launch. I want to look at the upcoming new launches in 2026.